Hi everyone, this is Robin Moses, and Juicy told me that she wanted to see me make another one of these, and I know that other people have asked me, so I'm going to just jump right in here. Here are how the brushes come. This is the wand, and this is the unicorn. One is a striper and one is a liner. I'm going to take them out. I cut the little ends off and take them out. So, out of the package, they are soft and wooden. And this is where you buy them, at .com. And then you can tell them apart by turning them over. Okay, when you first take them out of the package, they are stiff. They have some kind of starch on them to keep them stiff and together while they're being shipped. So what I do is I just take a cotton round, like this. I put it into acetone, and I always use pure acetone. I don't use nail polish remover. Acetone just gets everything a little bit better. So, okay, so see how it's all scrunchy? It's crunchy. I take it and I wipe it all the way in a circle. And I feel of it. And if it feels soft, I stop. And if I feel any kind of catch or anything, I keep going. So, I went in with a little bit more acetone. Now, I do the same for the unicorn. Unicorns stay back. Okay, so I'm just going to add more acetone, get it all saturated. It's okay to get acetone up here when you're wiping it off. Just wipe in one direction very softly. Now, the don't ever do's. Never scrub your brush clean like this back and forth. Never scrub on this one either. Every time that you switch polishes, paints, colors, everything, you wipe the color off and you go on to the next. Wipe the color off, go on to the next. At night, it is best if you leave your brushes dirty and in a point, because if you leave your brushes out and they're all open like this, if you leave them out like that, they can get destroyed by other people. Like if someone's at your desk, if someone's messing with your stuff, if it gets knocked onto the floor, just little things happen. And having your brush exposed like this, it might fall crooked and then your brush will be like this. It might fall and your brush is, So if you have it in paint or polish and you get a nice point on the end of it at the end of the day and you leave it in the morning, then you wipe it all out again and start your day. But I don't wipe my brushes and clean them until I'm ready to start my client. And I make sure that that brush point stays, and it will stay for years if you take care of them this way. So I'm going to show you what I do. Now, I look up into the light. If I see, now my manufacturer who makes the brushes with me told me, Robin, you can't get this little tiny hair off of each brush. It is absolutely impossible. The size of this brush is so tiny that to try and get a little tiny hair out of each brush is impossible. So what I do is I take I just brush right down in there and I look at my point. I can already see that it picked up a little bit of a snag. Can you see that? Do you see that little snaggy piece? So I wipe it. And I see that there's one hair that is a little bit longer. Now that could be just a straggler from the cotton round, or it could be a hair. But how I get rid, oh, it's a hair. Now, does it really make a huge difference in your work? No, but if you get it perfectly, does it make a huge difference? Yes, over time, yes. Especially if you're painting a pupil in a portrait. So what I do is I take the scissor as close as possible, and then I cut blind. I don't see the hair, I just nip at it just to make sure that there's no extra hair at the end of the brush. It's kind of like just right on the edge, like that. I do the same thing for my liner, for my striping brush. And this one doesn't have a hair, but they say about 70% don't and about 30% do. And I'm going to say that it's probably 50-50. You do or you don't. But if you do, and you just take that little extra step and snip the end off, then you have a really better product in the end. This is the absolute best I could make. Now, I have them done like this at the ends so that you can mix your paints, and then you can wipe off the end of your brush with acetone, and you can mix your paints and wipe your brush off with acetone without messing up the surface of your brush, because so many brushes have this crap on it. It has this, and it gets all of your fingers, all of your client, all of your stuff. If you do a lot of nail art, it gets all over the place. So these are naked for a reason. Now, when I'm using polish, I go in the same way. And when I'm done, if I'm using polish, that's when I make my point, and then I let the polish dry overnight. So there is that. Then when I go to clean it in the morning, I go like that. Brush, 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 brush. Nice back and forthies. Okay, so with that being said, I will try and get better pictures of these up for you on my website and stuff like that. Juicy also told me that my pictures were awful. But somebody wanted to charge me $400 to take a picture of my brush, and I just can't afford that. I'd rather pass, as much savings on to you as possible so we can all have the same products. So anyways, they are a must-have. Now some little hacks. Little brush hacks. If you have one or two hairs that are going off to the side and acting wonky, cut them off. It's okay. You're not going to ruin anything. When you start hacking away at a brush, then you're going to have a problem. So, that being said, let's go to the unicorn. The hardest brush in the entire world to find is a good striping brush. I had one in my entire career. It was made by OPI in the early 90s. That's where I learned how to do all my striping, and I never found one ever since then. I was carrying the same brush when I asked the people that made these brushes if they could help me. I carried that brush forever, and I treated it like gold. And this is exactly like what I had. Now, this is for beginners, these big ones. So if you're just starting out with striping, that would be for you. If you are an old seasoned striper, then this is what I would recommend, and this is what I do to my brushes. And since I get a new brush, because I'm showing you guys, I'm going to do it. So I take the brush where it naturally wants to come apart, which, let's see, it's about right there. It just naturally wants to come apart there. So I go in right to the point and snip. I make a point. See if there's any stragglers. And I just keep on playing with it. You don't want to do any kind of crap into the neck. Nothing touches the neck. You just want to just look at the brush pieces. See how that one's a little curly? That's going to cause me problems later, so I'm just going to take that now. Okay. The thinner this is, the more control I have of it. So I try, and I made it for you guys because I know the thicker ones are easier to hook onto the nail and pull, but the thinner ones give me more control because I'm so used to working with lining brushes. Now, when these start fraying and they don't go back to normal, which is probably about a year from when you first get them, they're going to start drying out because the hair gets all dried out just like human hair. So you give it a hot oil treatment. I have my regular oil, and what I do is I just take the slightest little drop of oil on my pinky, put it on the tips of the brush, right here and here, and then I hit it with a hot blow dryer and I leave it overnight. And then if it's still frayed, at least I know that it's oiled. So then I take a little piece of a soap bar, like a little baby face soap bar you get at the hotel, and you take your brush and you just go back and forth on the soap lightly with a little bit of wet on it, like this, until your brush is completely packed with soap. And then you hit it and you put it in the perfect point when it's all soapy, and you leave that overnight. And what that does is it's kind of like putting curlers in your hair. The next day your hair is curly. When you take the soap out the next day, when you go to use your brush, it'll have a new point on it. This works for a couple months, and so I just want to say that this works a couple months for both of these brushes. So whenever your brushes are starting to go out on you, you have a good couple months to mess with them and get them good and keep them good until you can get the next batch. So with that being said, I will work tirelessly to make sure that you have brushes available to you. I know how hard it is, and I also know how hard it is to teach when you have a short stumpy brush like this, and I have a brush like this. Now, how are we going to do the same art? Let me go in there. Okay, because this one, I can't describe to you what I'm doing with this stumpy brush, and I can only describe what I'm doing with this brush. This brush is more for very detailed, very high-tech portraits. Like there's no reason for anybody to have this little brush that's a beginner. So for this one, this is going to get you into the groove of everything. So hopefully I have said enough this time and answered a lot of your questions. You don't want anything in the neck of your brush. That is your most important. You want to be gentle with your brush. That is the most important. And to have fun. That is the most important. I just saw a thing on some website where a brand was getting a bunch of bad press for naming one of their gel polishes something really offensive. And I looked at the price of one bottle of gel, and I suddenly had I used to feel kind of bad because I have to charge $10 for these brushes, but I easily could charge $30. Seriously, that's how hard they are to find. And when I saw that one bottle of gel polish was twice as much as this brush, this is a huge investment if you take care of it and you are really serious about hand painting nail art. So hopefully you take that with you. If you spend $20 at a fast food restaurant or a couple drinks or whatever, spend $20 and get 2 brushes and keep them handy if you're really into nail art, and just have them with you. And I promise you won't regret it. This works perfectly for eyeliner and eyebrows. So even if you give up on nail art, you have a second. And this one is just fantastic for tons of things. This is oh my goodness. I'm gonna have one of these for the rest of my life, and I'm stocked up for myself. Anyways, I hope I helped you. This will be up at robinmosesnailart.com. This will be up at my YouTube channel, and if you search Robin Moses Brush Care on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. And the unicorn and the wand. I will see you back with more, and I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.